Hello, it's that baby V, and welcome again to another edition of VPC. This evening, I have the fantastic Hopt Sauce joining us. I've got a few bottles of theirs, which I purchased a while ago, and I'm slowly been making my way through. And yeah, we're going to deep dive behind Sammy's background, and why Hopt Sauce, and indeed, what came together to make beautiful chili sauce, hops, and the right meal. So, as ever, if you've got questions, pop them in the little question box below. And yeah, let's see if we can get them on. Ooh.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, buddy. How are you?
Good, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
Excellent. Very well, thank you. Very well.
Good, good.
Happy
Well, thank you so
to
much for
finally be
joining
on the right side of the screen with you.
us. Yeah. I know it makes a difference just over text messages, really, and then
Exactly.
numerous pictures being sent between us. It's nice to see your face. So,
I've been growing my beard,
yeah.
Dave, but it still hasn't caught you up yet.
No, I miss the length in mine, to be honest. I keep thinking, I'm going to grow it back longer, but I don't know. Get too much hot sauce in it, mate. That's the problem.
Exactly. Got to keep it clean.
Oh, damn straight, damn straight. So, I suppose it's probably best to start as tradition. Who the hell are you?
That's a great question. I've been running from the police for so long, using so many different names. Um, no, my name's Sammy. Born and grew up in the southwest of England, and have been working now for about eight or so years in sort of the corporate sector, doing sort of consulting and other boring adult stuff. And for me, massive craft beer nerd for quite a while now. Probably started off with BrewDog and the like. And like I said, in recent times, and you know this, Dave, I've got super into sort of cooking and experimenting with recipes and things like that. So that's really where sort of the Hopt Sauce idea came from. But I'm sure we can talk more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's I have to say your story's really, really quite interesting. And given what you used to have on your doorstep and to where you are now, you got some taste
Absolutely.
buds that are well worth diving deep into. So I think before we get cracking, what are you drinking this evening?
I am drinking the Northern Monk Anniversary Double IPA, which is
Oh, how are you
very,
finding
very
it?
delicious, actually. Very nice. I'm guessing this is their seventh anniversary. I didn't even realize they were that old, but I guess they're almost sort of OGs now. I guess of definitely the new wave of craft beer. But yeah, so it's very
Yeah,
good.
definitely. Yeah, for those that haven't seen, get over to their Instagram page today. Because if you just like it, they're doing a get as many likes. They're going to plant as many trees. So do it after the feed though, because yeah, it'd be rude to leave now, wouldn't it? Nice,
What are
nice.
you
So,
drinking, Dave?
well, I'm going for a can of steady rolling Dave.
Oh, classic. Love it.
Yeah, yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong in my new glass, which yours is was posted
I,
today, by the
I
way. So,
saw, I got the email. I was very excited. And I got a mask as well. I can't wait to switch up off
yeah,
my
yeah,
old
no, it's
Simply Hops one.
yeah, yeah, it's tucked nicely into the glass. So yeah, hopefully you'll have that at the beginning way. But yeah, so Hopt Sauce. So let's throw ourselves back. So to what got you into beer and how your journey was into kind of the epitome of cooking and beer drinking. So yeah, to go back in the time machine for a bit.
Sure, sure. So, as I mentioned, I mean, I've been into craft beer probably since the beginning of this decade, or I guess the previous decade now, so around 2010, 2011. When I got out of uni, got a job, had a little bit more money to spend on beer. I think this story is probably familiar or kind of similar to a lot of people. You want to drink something better than Carling or Foster's or Strongbow or whatever, once you actually have a bit of money in your pocket and you're not a student anymore. So was living in London, started to get into the likes of Brewdog, Beavertown, Siren. That was sort of where I began my craft beer journey. Obviously, like many people, punk was a beer that I drank from Brewdog, and it like blew my mind that beer could taste like that. So very, generic story around craft beer, I think originally. Kind of, got a little bit into sort of sours and stuff from Wild Beer Co. Like I said, I'm from the West Country, so they're from very close to where I grew up. I've been down there a few times to visit those guys. Would love to do a sauce with them if they're listening. But yeah, kind of that was, the first, I'd say 3 or 4 years getting into craft beer, that was really where I was. So very kind of, I guess on the shallower end of the pool. I then got transferred to New York. So like I said, I work in like a corporate job and got moved over there as part of that in 2015, and ended up staying there for about 5 years with my then girlfriend, now wife, Kate. And as I was there, I got kind of further and further into the rabbit hole of craft beer. I lived 2 blocks away. Many people know this who are probably on the feed who know me. I was 2 blocks away from Other Half, which was incredible. I remember the crazy lines that they used to have for their IPAs and stuff like that would come out. People would line up the night before with tents around the block. It was absolutely crazy. I have to say I never did that. I was never that sort of desperate to get, hop juice. But what I loved was going in with a growler at like midday, the Saturday after the Saturday morning rush, and picking up the beer fresh from the tap and taking it back to my house and drinking it, or drinking in the tap room with many people there that I got to know very well. I also spent a lot of time in New York. I have to give a shout out to As Is NYC. One of my best friends, Brandon Duff, is a co-owner there. And, he is a big part of sort of, I guess, me becoming more educated about beer. If for anyone who's ever been to New York, there are basically, 2 or 3 classic bars that you go to. One is called the Blind Tiger. Spent a lot of time in there with him drinking. And the other is called the Pony Bar, the same. And then obviously I would say As Is now is probably in that triumvirate of like top Manhattan, New York craft beer bars. And yeah, so with him kind of at my side, him and I used to go crawling around different breweries, different tap rooms. And really I got to experience sours, stouts. This was a time where I really felt that the UK scene was probably 5 years behind the US scene. We had, over there when I was in New York, sours were much bigger, imperial stouts, pastry stouts were much bigger. And for me, just all of these different crazy flavors and combinations and stuff were just incredible, in terms of just what I'd never experienced before. Having a stout in the UK, even a craft stout, it just wasn't there. Coffee stouts, all that kind of stuff, using lactose in beers, all crazy things like that. So yeah, so that was kind of the beer side of things. So living near Other Half. Then on the other side of things, the food in New York, again, to anyone who's ever been, it's just available everywhere, and there's so many different cuisines from so many different cultures. I really got into Mexican food, which obviously people over here will know, Chipotle and I've forgotten the name of the other one that is big now, tortilla. That's it. That's like big over here, but like in America, it's really kind of ubiquitous. Like the food is everywhere. Every corner shop will have like a burrito or a taco stand like in it or next to it or whatever. So I ended up having a lot of hot sauce on burritos. I've always loved spicy food, and yeah, got super into sort of trying all these crazy different peppers and chilies and different combinations with burritos and tacos and things like that. So those were 2 separate interests that I never really put together in my mind. And then I just started to think to myself, it feels like, the spice from a chili or the hops from a beer would just go really well together. As Dave, hops don't have to be bitter, right? If you don't put them in at the beginning of a boil, they can be extremely aromatic, extremely flavorful. So I thought to myself, why aren't people using, we use rapeseed oil and olive oil and all these other oils in food. Why aren't people using hop oil? Because that's something that's come about in the last 10 years since brewing has exploded. And I thought to myself, yes, okay, you don't want to neck a pint of, hop oil. It needs to be with something else. So I thought to myself, why not try putting it into some food? Hot sauce was one of the options. And at the same time, like I said, just started developing a passion for cooking, just cooking at home, being like a very amateur chef. And my wife actually got me a present for my birthday, which was at the Institute of Culinary Education in New York, to do like a barbecuing course with like a proper chef. And they teach you how to cut the meat up and cook it like Texas barbecue style and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, just
Wow.
getting all of that, you know, interest in cuisine and stuff like that, it just drove me on in terms of I really want to explore this idea of using hops in something. And then one day it just clicked. I was like, I might as well just try and make this. I think it was one weekend in my apartment in Brooklyn, just decided to put together a recipe. I have to say I probably went a bit overboard with the hops initially. Um, it was quite overpowering. You have to use them sparingly. I have a lot of people say to me about my sauces, you know, oh, it's only got, you know, 4% hops in here. Well, you know, that's if you look at the percentage of hops in a beer, it's not actually that much, right? You're not drinking the hop material in a beer is taken out before you drink it. So yes, it's got the aromas and the flavors because it's allowed to steep in it like a tea almost, but it's not, you know, you don't leave the particulates in there basically. So anyway, so made a couple of batches at home. The first one wasn't great. Went back, did it again. Went back, did it again. And the first recipe I actually came up with was my chocolate chipotle stout recipe. So it's almost like a barbecue sauce, super smoky, super chocolatey. Yes, you have one there, my friend. I see. It's very mild, as you know, Dave,
Mm.
having tried it. But I just thought it was really good. It went on everything. You know, it can go with red meat, white
Yeah.
meat, you know, all sorts of things. Breakfast eggs. That's one of my favorite things to make with it.
Mm.
Just pour it on that, and it tastes great. So that was the first one I came up with. I took it down to other half, shared it with a few friends there, and they were like, "Oh, I'm having a barbecue this weekend. Can you make me like a liter of it?" And I'd say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." You know, for a mate, make them a liter. Next weekend, oh, my mate really wants it. Do you mind making a liter for him as well? Okay, yeah, all right. So I'm making 2 liters. Meanwhile, by the way, my wife Kate doesn't like spicy food, so this is always
Really?
you know a thing of having tons of chilies in the fridge and you know all sorts of blending and stuff like that going on. I'm sure home brewers can relate to that in that sense when they're brewing beer with a partner that doesn't like beer. But yeah, so basically just kept making it for people. They kept asking for it. The quantities went up and up and up, and I just thought to myself, cheers ginger and beer. I saw that love chocolate stout on eggs. But yeah, so just kept making more and more and more. And I was like, no, I'm gonna stop giving this away for free. So I didn't actually sell it in New York at all. I just was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not making this for people just to use like constantly. It's ridiculous. Like I'm not running a sauce company. So anyway, so that was sort of 5 years in, moved back over here for family reasons, wanted to be closer to my family. And so when Kate and I got back here, this was sort of back end of last year. I just, again, I sort of started making it over here and having it myself. And I thought, this is coming into the new year now, 2020, that, you know, as everyone knows, 2020 has been a bit of a shit year for many people. So I decided to open my business right before lockdown, which
I
was,
remember.
in hindsight, very challenging. So yeah, so we started trading like a week before lockdown in March. I set up the company, started selling the sauces online, and yeah, basically the rest is history. I mean, I have to just quickly say a huge thank you to not only lots of people who are on this stream who have been massively supportive of the business. I mean, you know, Dave, but the craft beer community is an incredible resource outlet. You know, just everyone is so friendly, so supportive. Everyone is encouraging. It's like nothing I've ever been a part of before. So I want to thank everyone who supported the business so far. And also I want to thank like the brewers and the people that have, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that later, but again, everyone I've been speaking to who isn't a hot sauce producer or a customer, who's in the craft beer community, has given me tips on how to use hops properly. And again, we can go into detail about that if you're interested. But yeah, for me, it's been an incredible experience and everyone's been so supportive. And we've sold, I think, something like coming up to 4,000 bottles now since lockdown started, which is insane. I never thought we'd get there. And I still make them all myself. So trying to do that with a full-time job. I know, Dave, how hard you working for the NHS and having all of that on your plate, but like I imagine that working 2 jobs probably feels like working for the NHS right now. So it's been it's been a challenging thing to do. But anyway, I've spoken long enough, so I'm gonna have
No,
a
that's
beer.
fantastic. Yeah, no, yeah. Wet your whistle. So, lover of Cat's Craft Beer has already asked. So, for those just joining, we're talking about Hopt Sauce. Where can she buy some?
Great question. So we have a website, Hopt Sauce, Hopt sauce, all one word, .co.uk. You can buy that direct from us. I would encourage you though, even though I get more money if you buy it direct from us, to support your local bottle shop. So if you go to our website and click on stockists, we have we have about 15 local craft beer bottle shops, everyone ranging from Hop Burns and Black in London to um, the Beer Musketeer in Portsmouth, Perth Bottle Shop in Scotland. There's tons on there. You can have a look. But just with the lockdown about to probably happen again, I would encourage you to go out and support them and give them your money and let them make some money off of the sources. But yeah, so I also have a code on the website for anyone who's on today. So it's Virtual Pub Club, all one word, for 15% off if you want to order direct from us. So yeah,
fantastic.
Thank you for asking.
No, good. Yeah, so there you go, Virtual Pub Club, 15%. So I thought it'd be rude not to actually have some while we're on here. So
Do it.
I did buy these from Sammy a while ago, but I've been working on my favourite one. I think I remember messaging you on Instagram that I was supposed to be doing fajitas, and I'd realised I'd bought nothing to make fajitas with. So just had, chicken. And yeah, cook through a lot of it with the tropical habanero, which is the lager hot sauce, and this one has got a kick to it.
That's a spicy boy. That is a spicy boy.
Sublime. So
yeah.
I'm starting with the mango jalapeno Citra Nelson IPA. So that's what it looks. Well, the lighting's not great there, but that's what it looks like for anyone else out to go. So while I partake in, I'm doing it like chili festival rules.
Amazing. Yeah, love it.
Cut some flour tortilla to go with it. So yeah, do you want to? Let's talk about this one first. So
sure.
IPA on the label.
Yeah.
Mango and jalapeno. What is it?
Yeah, sure. So I was very conscious that I went into the kind of setting up the business with the idea that I'm going to have some core sources that will sort of be the staples and mainstays, a bit like you would say, with a signature beer or whatever, or a core range of beers that a brewery produces. I was like, I want a standard set of sauces that taste the same whenever someone has them, that you can just have on your dining table or in your fridge at home. And then I wanted to make a bunch of collaborations with breweries and artists, which we can talk about later on. But think like Patrons Project from Northern Monk, that type of idea. I want to do something kind of really out there and crazy, but I also want to have like a core range which customers can come back to again and again and again and know that they're getting the same quality. So the three flavors we have, as you mentioned, Dave, so the chocolate chipotle stout is the one that I talked about, kind of was my first ever recipe. Mango jalapeno IPA, and then tropical habanero lager. So that's like, and we sell that as a triple pack, but that's like the kind of the range of flavors. And again, I wanted to go for 3 different beer styles, right? So the stout one is not very hop forward, as most stouts are not hop forward, right? That's the idea. So it has East Kent Goldings hops in it, which is very, it's traditional British stout hop, basically. It's used in Guinness and a bunch of other stouts. And so that's got like a very traditional stout type flavor with a lot of chocolate, coffee, that kind of aroma and flavor from it. The tropical habanero, as you say, that's my favorite sauce, but it's also even too spicy for me. Like at times, like I'll have it, when I've had a few beers, I'll shove it on pizza and it tastes great. It's got pineapple and grapefruit in it. So it's super tropical, bursting with flavor, but it's really spicy because it's got habanero peppers in it, which are one of the spicier chilies for folks on the line that maybe don't have as much knowledge of chili peppers, which is absolutely fine. And then the one you're eating right now is the mango jalapeno IPA, which that variant that you have has Citra and Nelson Sauvin hops in it. So it's your classic kind of Citra is, as everyone knows, like that is the mainstay of like IPA hops. That's like the quintessential one, especially of modern IPA variants. And then obviously Nelson Sauvin, very fashionable hop right now. And something really interesting that I wanted to work with because I like a lot of beers with Nelson in it. So it's mango, fruit, jalapenos, which are obviously a small green pepper. That's why the color of the sauce is green, and then those 2 hops thrown in quite large quantities compared to the other 2 sauces.
Oh, fantastic! And yeah, you can buy them in a pack now. Interesting question from Chris. How do you decide if a beer is going to be right for a certain hop sauce? So, that's a really interesting question, as well as what hops. If you've got a vision in your mind for a different type of hot sauce, what hops in the back of your mind go? So, yeah, I open the book. How does it work your style?
Yeah, it's a really great question, Chris. So, as I said before, I try really hard. So I guess firstly I should say none of our hot sauces have beer in them. Right, that's not the point. It's not about making a hot sauce and just pouring beer into it and cooking it till the alcohol goes away. It's about taking the quintessential hops from a beer or a beer style and trying to recreate that in hot sauce form. That's how I very much see like all the recipes that I put together. So when thinking about the types of hops to use, I start with what types of hops or what hop varieties are usually used in that beer style. So, like I said, with IPA, I mean, IPA is the hoppiest of beers, basically. And as a result of that, pretty much any hop you could put into an IPA. There are a few, which are more bittering hops, and they're there for cooking into a beer to make it bitter early on in the boil. Those don't work so well for aromatics. So, if you're going to make an IPA style sauce, it has to be an aromatic hop, something that has a very high alpha acid content. I don't want to get too technical or boring, but it has to have a lot of aroma, a lot of kind of dankness to it. And I know some people hate that word when you're doing craft beer reviews, but basically, yes. But yeah, so it's a great question from Chris. So when I come to thinking about making a hot sauce, I always start with making I start with the beer style. I think about the hop varieties that would go well with that beer style, and then I think about making a sauce with that. So everything has to play off of each other. So for example, the chipotle stout sauce, I use the chipotle pepper, which is smoky, it's dark in color. I wouldn't use a yellow banana pepper in a stout sauce because it wouldn't make sense, right? The color would be wrong, it would throw you off, and it wouldn't really work. So I always try and play the style of the sauce off of the style of the beer. And that's why the mango jalapeno one is green, because IPAs are hoppy. The one that I've just launched last week, or I guess, no, sorry, this week, Monday, is a double IPA collaboration with Brew By Numbers in Bermondsey, and that is a bright yellow peach and passion fruit sauce, so with lemon drop chili. So again, what do you get when you drink a really juicy 8% double IPA from a Daya or a Cloudwater or a Track? You get this huge amount of like peachiness from the yeast. You get this kind of passion fruit or other kind of like tropical flavor, citrus notes. So I wanted to go for something big and bold, but also in the case of the Brew By Numbers collaboration, that's based on their number 55. So they sent me their newest number 55. I drank it. I was very lucky to get to try it before it was, out there in the open. And then I thought, well, this has it has Galaxy and Brew One hops in it. Never worked with either of those before in a flavor. And I thought to myself, this tastes incredible, but it's also just like a tropical juice bomb in my mouth. So I wanted to make sure the sauce really screamed that, as well as had the hoppiness. So I hope I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't get you one in time of that because we only literally just bottled it on Monday. So, and we've had a lot of orders, but I will send you one after this, and hopefully you can post it once you've tried it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. That's exciting. So let's dive into that, because we've had the Big Labrusis asked a very good question, which I'll share once we've kind of delved a bit into this week's release. So how did that come to be? How did a hot sauce with Brew By Numbers become a real thing that people can get hold of?
Yeah, it's another great question. So I've always liked Brew By Numbers beers. I think they're quite underrated in terms of London breweries. In terms of breweries in the UK generally, I think they're quite underrated. They probably get a little bit more flack as well from the hardcore drinkers like you and I, Dave, now, because they're in places like M&S. So I think people start to lose respect when you sort of sell out, so to speak, in places like that. But anyway, I think they're a brilliant brewery, and I really like both their IPAs. Their saisons are incredible, their stouts are incredible, their coffee stouts are really, really good. I met Tom, who's the head brewer there, about 7 years ago. He didn't remember me, by the way, when I reached out to him this year, of course. I met him at a tasting event with my brother with I can't remember the name, Four Pure, before they sold out, with the two brothers that own that. So I was at a tasting event, met him then, learned his story, thought he was a cool guy, really liked his beer. And so in the back of my mind, I already had like a sort of a hit list of breweries, of which Brew By Numbers was one that I wanted to reach out to for a collab. And literally reached out to them, spoke to a guy called Michael there, who's excellent, really, really helpful, and incredibly supportive. He and I basically worked the recipe out together with Tom. So Tom shared with me the hop profile. As I said, he sent me the beer. I tried it first. So again, I always, if I'm going to make it based on a beer with a brewery, I want to try the beer first because I want to make sure that the hop varieties I use and the taste of the sauce is at least comparable. It doesn't have to taste exactly the same. I'm not trying to make a spicy beer. Like, I'm not trying to make it so that when you drink it, you're thinking, oh, this is just a thicker, spicier beer. Exactly. They play off of each other really well. And hopefully, like I said, when you try it, you'll see, if you have the new Brew by Numbers number 55, you'll be like, wow, this just makes sense. Like it's linked. I get it in my mind. But yeah, in terms of how it happened, I must have emailed 20 or 30, maybe 40 breweries since lockdown started, saying, I've opened this hot sauce business, been a craft beer fan for years, please, let me know if you'd be interested in doing a collab. And some didn't respond at all. Some responded saying, to be honest, not really what we want to do. We're not really fans of spicy food, or it's not something we want to get into right now. Again, a lot of them are under a lot of pressure, right? Trying to convert their business models from selling to pubs or bottle shops to selling online. So I have a lot of sympathy for them. And yeah, for me, it was just, I had some responses, and then I had to select from those responses, like, who do I want to actually carry on with down this path? And the first collaboration, I should just quickly say, was meant to be with a different brewery. So this was African Queen that's coming out in the summer. However, that ended up not being a collaboration with a brewery. That ended up being a collaboration with an artist. She's called Camilla Rue. She's from Manchester. And she basically, obviously everyone is aware of what happened over the summer with George Floyd and kind of the hurt that many sort of minority communities, etc., felt at that time. And I wanted to do something kind of just to show that I cared, and try and raise some money for a good cause in the process. So African Queen was the first kind of special limited release sauce that we made. It's a piri piri Pilsner sauce. We still have a few bottles left of it, but it's gone pretty quickly.
Stunning
and
bottle.
Yeah, I know. I think it's her Instagram tag. We should post it. Is at the Camru, CAMRU, and like, her work is amazing. And I just was like, I really want to reach out to someone from that community and have them be kind of the author of their own story. And we used African Queen hops, which are from South Africa. I managed to get hold of some of those, and we used Rwandan Scotch bonnet chilies. So it's a piri piri sauce, way better than Nando's. I always tell people that. Anyone who met me at Bristol Beer Festival will know, like, it's Nando's on steroids, basically. So if you like Nando's, check it out. And as I said, we donate the proceeds to the Racial Justice Network, which is a charity based in Leeds, that basically combats prejudice of all kinds against anyone. So they're a really great charity to be involved in. But anyway, so that was originally meant to be a collab with a brewery, but it became a collab with an artist. Obviously, this peach sauce, Your Peach is on Fire, with Brew by Numbers, is the second collab we've done. And then we have a really exciting collab coming up at Christmas in a couple of weeks' time. I still have to make the sauce. Is with Amundsen. So they are a Norwegian brewery. Again, one of the many that it's a great question. Yes, there is a gift pack coming up for Christmas. So we're going to be offering the triple pack that I already mentioned, that is our 3 core sauces, but then we're going to do a 6-pack for all the dad bods like me out there. We're going to do a 6-pack, which is the triple pack plus the 3 collabs. So the African Queen, the Peach is on Fire with collaboration with Brew by Numbers, and then the next sauce we're going to do, which is called Naughty on Ice, which is a imperial stout sauce with blueberries and maple syrup that we're doing with Amundsen. So again, Jeff from Amundsen, incredible guy, massive brewery. Never thought I could work with them within 6 months of opening my hot sauce business, but has been hugely supportive. Absolutely love the sauces I sent him. Was like, we have to work on something now. Let's do something for Christmas. So that's what we're doing. And I'm really, really excited to do it. And again, the cool thing about this new sauce is you can have it on ice cream, or you can have it on, burritos or eggs or whatever it is. Like, it works really well. Like, I know of it already. I'm still working on the hops for it. I want it to be exactly right. But I'm really excited to release it probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm hoping. So it's in time for Christmas. Everyone can hopefully get it as stocking fillers.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. So I'm going to go on to, I think it's right to have a bit of a lick of this as a main course. So this is the tropical habanero, the lager. tell us what went into this.
Yeah, so this one is the hottest sauce that we do. Yeah, as
You'll
I
be
said,
able
it
to tell
has.
by how red my face is going to
I can't wait to see you sweating, Dave.
go.
But
It's freezing in here, mate. A bit of sweat might do me some good.
so the tropical habanero lager has hallertau hops in it, which is a traditional noble hop from Germany. So again, when you think of lagers, for me anyway, I think of Germany. That's where I think of where lager was born. And for me, I wanted to make something that was, it's not too hoppy because lagers aren't incredibly hoppy, number one. Number two, it's an incredibly hot sauce. So one of the challenges of making a hot sauce with hops is if you make it too hot, you lose the hops because it just becomes pure spice. So one of the policies, I guess, of my company, my business, is not to make dare sauces. So you won't see us on hot ones as like the eighth or ninth sauce on the run. I'm not into that. I'm not into having stomach pains and cramps and stuff after eating something. It should be about enjoying, not about sort of daring your mate to do something stupid. And I just, yeah. So anyway, so the tropical habanero, like I said, not too hoppy, traditional German Hallertau hops, very similar to a lager in terms of kind of that hop profile. And then for me, the thing I like most about it is the fact that it has a ton of grapefruit and a ton of like pineapple in it. So it's got just a tropical explosion in your mouth. Yeah. And I like I said,
it's bloody hot. I'm not, you can always see my cheek. It is really, really hot, but yeah, you really get like the grapefruit, you really get that pineapple. It's like, it's when you get some like Mexican dishes where it's like, quite fiery rice and chicken and there is cooked pineapple in it. It's like that.
yeah,
You still get the
exactly.
sweetness, you still get the fleshiness. It's great. But it's quite hot. I'm going to stop
Exactly.
just shoveling it in with
Oh,
tortilla.
I'm glad you like it. It goes
Yeah.
great on pizza. It goes great with cheese. Like any dairy product and that, I think just goes really well. And like I said, for me, there's been many a night when I've had.
It works very, very well.
There's been many
Yeah,
a
can't
night,
go
Dave,
wrong.
where I've stumbled home with a pizza and ended up putting too much of my own hot sauce on it and suffering the next day.
Yeah, see, it's the morning. It's the morning you have to worry about. Otherwise, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
So yeah, so as Sammy said, you can go direct to their sites immediately after the stream, or look out for it in your local bottle shops where, you can find also out on the stream. I think I'd start hallucinating. That was too big a gulp, that one. So let's see. We've got some other questions. So Buffy reviews beer. What types of hop sauce can we expect in the future? Would you be looking at mustards, mayonnaises? Thoughts?
I love that. I love that question. Yeah, I don't think I'm following Buffy reviews, but I'll have to after this stream. But so it's a really good question. When I started, I was like, I should be focused on making the product that I know how to make the best and just make that. But having got now, 8 months into the business, I'm thinking to myself, there's more stuff I can do with this that would be really interesting. One thing I'm looking at doing right now is a chili oil. So, like when you go to Pizza Express or whatever, and you pour a chili oil on your thing, instead of the oil being olive oil, which is what you normally use, you could use a hop oil. And you could put chilies in that and get a spicy hop oil to add flavor to your dishes. Salads, it would go really great with. So that's one idea I've got. Yeah. But I love the idea of doing something, different types of condiments, a ketchup, a mayonnaise. I'm not actually a big personal mustard fan, so it's not, considering I have to cook them all, I probably won't make a mustard anytime soon. But yeah, I think ketchup, mayonnaise, things like that, I think would be really good. I'm trying to think. The other thing, and this is something, Dave, I don't know whether we can talk about in detail, but I'm also looking at moving into other sort of avenues and other sort of merchandise and things like that, which I know you and I have discussed. But yeah, like there's lots of other things that I would like to do in the future. I've already got like sort of branded merch. I don't sell it. I just use it at the moment at festivals and stuff. Anyone who was at Bristol Craft Beer Festival, I was there sort of slinging hot sauce the whole weekend. And that's actually a good thing. I want to do a shout out to Finn Lindsay, who is the Beer Experience. Many of you will know him. He's been a massive help to me, just getting acclimated to the craft beer community over here. So when I moved back, obviously I didn't know many of the sort of influencers or a lot of the brewers and stuff. He's been a huge part of just getting me introduced to people, and just kind of sharing knowledge. But also he was there with me all weekend along with my brother Ramsey, and they both worked incredibly hard. So I just want to thank the two of them for really just putting the love in, because again, it's my business is a one-man band right now. It is me doing it alongside a full-time job. So again, all the help I get from friends and people like you, Dave. I know you've been, you've helped me a lot as well in terms of giving me this platform, but also just giving me your advice and thinking up new product ideas and stuff. So again, it's a great example of the community around craft beer.
No, so it's before we crack on, because I find it really interesting that Kate doesn't like hot sauce. So how does it work around dinner time when you're like, I need someone to try this? Is it just a case of you're trying to get family to try it when they're 2 meters away from you? How does it work?
So it's quite funny actually. Kate doesn't like hot sauce or beer, so two of my biggest sort of passions she doesn't share. We share a lot of things. We're both big foodies, and she often does actually take the spice hit, so to speak, just to be able to try something with me. So she'll always weigh in on a flavor or something, but then usually burst into tears 5 minutes after eating it because it's too spicy for her. She's actually writing something
Shot of
there.
milk in one
She
hand,
does
shot
love
of sauce in the
hot
other.
sauce. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, she's been brilliant, and more than the flavors, I think she helps a lot with the branding, with the sort of description of the recipes. And we've just started a recipe section on our website that she's helping me write, and she's just been massively supportive in giving me the time to do stuff like this. So I want to thank her as well.
Oh, brilliant. I love the dichotomy of I'd imagine food fridge, beer fridge, chili fridge, and it just going like, well, where's space for any of her stuff? It's amazing. So let's dive a bit into the recipe side before we push on to the next exciting bit. So
sure.
If someone's watching this who's not actually had a chance to try it yet, and they're going to jump on the discount after the feed. What would you say is like, right, okay, this is your typical meal that just chucks one of these in, that'll be, what's your kind of go-to introduction meal pairing and sauce pairing?
Yeah, so on every bottle and on the website, it will tell you what foods go well with the sauce. But to high level, kind of give an overview, the chocolate chipotle stout I think goes really well with red meat. Love it with steak, burgers. We actually have a burger recipe on the website. You can make a beef burger or a jackfruit burger. So vegans out there, all of our sauces are vegan, and you can make a vegan jackfruit burger if you don't fancy eating animal. But yeah, anything really red meat related for the chocolate chipotle, or like I said before, eggs, mushrooms is really good as well. And again, that's on our milder end, so I'd recommend people to try that first. The mango jalapeno, incredible on fish, chicken, really good on salads. It's got quite, as you know, Dave, it's quite citrusy, it's quite refreshing. So it goes really well with anything where you need that to cut against, a corresponding flavor that's maybe a little bit oilier or whatever, or more refreshing. That's what you want. And then the tropical habanero lager, as I said before, I mean, anything rice based, I love it on like a stir fry, the tropical habanero.
Yeah.
And I just love the tropical habanero on pizza. Like I said, that's just my favorite, just to dunk it on that. It's just amazing. And then the African Queen is obviously a piri-piri sauce, so grilling chicken, grilling meats with it is amazing. It can be a marinade you can cook with it. Like I said, we don't have many bottles of that left, and I don't think I'm going to make another batch this year. But yeah, that's great on that. And then the peach, to be honest, the peach one, I haven't really come up with the recipes yet. I didn't actually put it on the bottle, the pairings for the peach one, but it's quite a sweet, quite a fruity sauce. So I should probably give that a little bit more thought, Dave, and come up with some things we can do with the peach one. But I think it goes great on a lot of things. I had it with on a cheese sandwich the other day, which was really good.
Nice.
Actually, a quick plug as well. If I don't know if anyone on here watches the craft beer channel, but they're going to be doing a video with my sauce, I think next week or the week after. So stay tuned for that as well. Just they're going to review them basically and try them with a bunch of different like foods. I think they're going to do a toasty, a ham and cheese toasty or something, and something else. So you can get some ideas from them as well.
Fantastic. I think the Big Labruski may have suggested earlier, forgive me if it wasn't the Big Labru, a piccalilli. So it kind of, there is that line of hot sauce and cheese, just making a very kinky mix together. That. Chris has asked a really interesting question.
I like that idea.
Again, and he always does. He's a legend for this. But yeah, so we've heard about your gateway beers. What about your gateway hot sauce?
That is really interesting. So in terms of like, I was probably one of the sort of feckless individuals that just ate mass-produced hot sauce to begin with. So it was anything that was at a Mexican bodega in New York, basically. So Cholula, Tabasco, those types of things that are just broadly available. That's where I started. I then went to the Brooklyn Hot Sauce Festival in Williamsburg and tried a bunch of different ones there. I got into some bourbon barrel-aged sauces from Kentucky that I really liked, and I would love to barrel-age a sauce. Like, that's got to be something I do in 2021, is do like an Imperial Stout barrel-aged. Like, that would be amazing, or a red ale or something in a barrel would be really, really great. So yeah, so I started off with like the mass-produced stuff, but quickly realized, that just the body wasn't there. The flavor's quite uniform. Obviously, they're almost like the Budweiser, I guess, of hot sauces, those brands. I did go to the Tabasco factory in Louisiana. So I got to see how they make Tabasco, which is quite interesting. They made it the same way for the last 120 years, which is really cool.
Wow.
Gave me some ideas when I lived in the States. And then I would say probably the other thing is Nando's. Like, that's probably what got me into the idea of putting sauce on things. I said I've always liked spicy food, but I'd say it was more in the vein of a curry or Thai food or whatever, like something that was already spicy in terms of the sauce that it's in, rather than pouring a condiment on. Whereas obviously Nando's brushes their chickens with a sauce, and then that's where you get the flavor from. But yeah,
that's fantastic. But yeah, see, I love that about Tabasco. You being able to go, because when I think of Tabasco, Liam Perrins, a lot of vodka and tomato juice. That's my kind of like. It's also take the vodka out, brilliant hangover cure as well. So nice to know you've seen the place, the well, as it were, for Tabasco.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So we've got a couple of lover of Cat's Craft Beer and CFC. What's your favourite beer brewery at the moment? And have you done a collab with them yet?
Oh, so I'm going to hurt a lot of breweries' feelings here, but Daya is my all-time favorite brewery. I love everything about them. I love the fact that every beer they make is really good. I haven't had a beer from them which I've gone, ugh, that's not drinkable, or had to pour it or anything. I love their whole story. I don't know if everyone knows this, but Daya came from the word Daya with a J rather than a Y, and it's an island or a town, I think it is, where the head brewer and founder used to go on holiday with his family. I love that they're in sort of not a major city of the UK. They're sort of out there in the Cheltenham sort of wilderness. And like I said, being from the West Country as well, I see them as being relatively local to where I grew up. So Daya's my number one. I'll throw in my top three for you just to sort of give you the full three. But so Daya's definitely number one. I would say Cloudwater is up there for bringing that hazy other half style basically to the UK. I think they're the OGs. They did. I remember being over in the States and them doing so many collabs with other half. And them sharing, they would sell some in the tap room in New York and they'd sell some in the UK. And I think, again, I wasn't here at that time, but I feel like they brought that style over here. So they're probably number two. Was it UK craft brewery or general? Because I have one which is non-UK that I would want to throw into the mix.
It's your dream. Go wherever you like.
So Hill Farmstead for me is just incredible. If anyone ever has the chance to travel to the northeast of the US, they're out in the middle of nowhere in Massachusetts, like in the wilderness. Sean Hill is the head brewer and founder, and every beer is named after one of his relatives, so one of his ancestors. So they're called like Ebner and Grace and things like that. Like people from his family tree far back many generations, he's named beers after them. And again, like they don't make a bad beer. So I really recommend Hill Farmstead to anyone that ever ends up going over to the States.
Oh, brilliant. If if we take that question a bit further, if we did, you could do a collaboration with any restaurant or chef that you've watched or you've been able to sample their goods. Who would it be and why? While you're doing that, I'm gonna, because my face is about to fall off because I've eaten all of that sauce. I'm gonna mop up with some of the Chipotle chocolate stout.
You're finishing with the dessert sauce, the current
Oh yeah, yeah.
dessert sauce.
I'm
Yeah.
all about a strict menu.
Um, I love so many restaurants, and it's really hard to pick out one. I think I would want almost to go for a chef that isn't famous, like, rather than a Gordon Ramsay or a Jamie Oliver. I'd rather work with someone who's an up and coming chef who's got exciting new ideas and is young and interesting. Um, there's a brilliant restaurant in New York called Atera, Atera. Their head chef is incredible. Would love to work with them. I would love to do a food pairing or a collab with someone like JG Mellon in New York, or perhaps I'm trying to think of other sort of chefs that I'm really into right now. It's been hard because I've not been able to go to a restaurant in like 8 months or whatever, like, or not properly go to like a good restaurant where it's not, limited menu or you have to sit outside or whatever. So it's quite hard. But I think for me, I guess I'll stick with my first answer, which is, for me, it would be more about, is the chef interesting? Are they doing it for the right reasons? Are they up and coming? Is there something that I can give them and they can give me in terms of education and partnership? It would be more my thing than going for like the Gordon Ramsay route and have him yell at me because I didn't make the sauce properly.
I think that'd be an experience in itself as well.
Probably would be, yeah.
So, what are you drinking now?
I've moved on. I'm actually wearing their shirt. I don't know if you can see it in shop. I'm trying to. There you go. Can you see that?
Nice. Yeah.
So this is the next beer I've moved on to.
Yeah. Well, that fits quite nicely onto another one from Lover of Crops. She has asked if you would do a Verdant collab.
So Adam from Verdant has tried the sauces, absolutely love them. I thought we were going to do a collab, and then he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, the seafood bar is now closed. This is during lockdown, but would love to work with you in the future after we get a few more of our collabs like out the way." So obviously there are people queuing up to collab with them. So he was very apologetic and is a great guy, and I would love to work with them next year. I've also I don't know if the Red Elephant guys are on, Just Mills and those guys, but they're sending me their collaboration beer that they did for their beer shop, and I'm going to send them back my hot sauce in exchange, and we're going to do little tradesies. But again, would love to work with Verdant. I mean, they just missed out of my top three, so they're up there. If you want to expand it to top 10, they're definitely in that, probably top 5 as well. It would definitely need to be full of cabbage, Buffy, for sure.
Needs to be a green sauce full of cabbage.
Dank. Yeah.
Yeah. Super dank. Nice. A supper club. That's a good idea. Yeah. So, love to see you do a supper club.
Yeah, again, when things return to normal, would absolutely love to do something like a pop-up in Old Street or somewhere like that, and work with some other chefs on actually kind of making a menu live with them. I think that would be incredible. But again, it's hard right now to do anything in the service industry. And again, I feel for anyone who's running a service business right now, be it a restaurant, a pub, whatever it might be, everyone is suffering. So, but yeah, would absolutely love to do a supper club or a little pop-up thing with my sauces.
That sounds terrific. So what can we, if we cast our minds forwards, what can we look forward to in the near and far future for Hopt Sauce?
Yeah, so more collabs, that's definitely one. Even more collabs, maybe with Evil Twin, with a name like that. And yeah, I think beyond that, just other products on the horizon. I think there's other opportunities to do, things outside of hot sauce, as everyone has said on this chat today. Like there's huge opportunity to go into other things. I would love to make a beer. So I'm not a great brewer. I'm not a home brewer really of any distinction. I have home brewed before, but I'm very amateurish. That's part of the reason why I made Hopt Sauce and didn't make beer. But I would love to work with someone, one of the breweries out there on making a beer that pairs with my hops rather than with my sauce rather than the other way around. So at the moment, like I said, Brew By Numbers gave me number 55, and that's how I came up with the Your Peaches on Fire recipe. And the same with Amundsen, they sent me their Santa beer, and I came up with the Imperial Stout recipe based on that. But I would love to kind of actually do it in true collaboration. So we actually develop the beer recipe together, and then we develop the hot sauce recipe alongside it. So maybe I could make a chili beer. I feel like I have quite a good knowledge of chilies and can contribute something to that process that the brewers maybe don't have. I know there was a time a few years ago where people were putting chilies into beer, but it was quite astringent and quite kind of difficult to drink. They were either incredibly spicy or you couldn't taste the chili at all. So I'd love to actually work with someone to make sure that the chili flavor comes through but isn't overpowering in a beer. So that could be something potentially we do in the future.
That sounds fantastic. That takes me back to chili chocolate was all the rage in about 2005, and it was either burn your face off or it was just quite dark chocolate with a bit of mellow chili in it. It was quite good. That's what we can expect from a chili beer. That's what it should be. Mash Gangs just asked your favourite cuisine that revolves around hot sauce.
Burritos every time. Like if you're not pouring hot sauce on your burrito whilst you're taking every bite and just adding a bit more and then taking a bite and then adding a bit more, then you're not a hot sauce fan. That's all I'm going to say.
What's your ideal burrito? What's in it?
Oh, I really like the one at Chipotle that has the like barbacoa. They call it barbacoa. It's like that shredded beef. I think that's really good. It takes them like 11 hours to cook it or something in like a pressure cooker. So I'm a sucker for that. I love steak. I love beef. So that's probably my favorite.
Goes well. And what kind of sauce would you say put on a beef dish?
Chipotle chocolate every time. There you go. Exactly, Dave. You've learnt it. You got it.
Well, I've got a face full of sauce this evening, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So tell again before we part ways. Where can people get your sauces?
Yeah, so it's hoptsauce.co.uk. So hoptsauce.co.uk. And if you use the promo code Virtual Pub Club, you'll get 15% off. And we have some offers on right now in the lead up to Christmas. So for anyone looking to buy gifts for loved ones, please do support us. And as I said before, if you go to our stockist page, you can see which shops have our sauce right at the moment, and please do support them as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. Well, what's before I send you on your way, and so you can enjoy your Friday evening, and I can probably polish off the rest of this tortilla with some other chili sauce. What would be your ideal beer pairings for these? So if I said to you, I'm gonna have a dish and I'm gonna layer this on it, what beer would you put on it? For the three that I've got here, the core range, as it were.
So I would actually say Steady Rolling Man for the IPA. I know it's a pale ale. I know that sort of debate is raged many times. What makes an IPA an IPA versus a pale ale? But anyway, I would say Steady Rolling Man is perfect with mango jalapeno. I would say for the stout, probably. I'm trying to think of a stout that's widely available that most people could get. I'm not going to give a specific one. I'm going to say anything that is a sort of dry traditional stout, so not pastry, like anything that is I'd say 4 to 6% traditional dry Irish style stout would go really well with that. And then the lager, any German lager you can find. That's just don't buy macro.
Wine. Yeah. Exactly. Funny enough, I know people will judge me for this. I had this the other night, and I had a glass of red, and my God, did they go well together or not? The tannins just
very sophisticated, very sophisticated.
Yeah, yeah. It was the fact that my beer fridge was literally empty. It was like, shit, really fancy a drink, and it's like, oh, I've got a bottle of red from the last time my dad came down. So yeah, good.
Very nice.
Yeah, paired very nicely. Well, so honestly, it's been an absolute joy to have you on. Hopefully, we'll get you back on very, very soon when we've got some sense of normality and we can see the growth. And hopefully, if suppliers come back to us post haste, we might have something else to share. Hopefully, at the beginning of next week,
Brilliant.
which will tie in very nicely with the new appropriate glassware and a new hot sauce. So yeah, keep a weathered eye. Look at that. Oh, that does look good. If only we could do something
Cheers,
that had
Dave.
chilies on it and tied in with Christmas. Anyway, enough spoilers. Mate, honestly, thank you so much for being on tonight. It's great to finally see your face. And yeah, hopefully get to share a beer and a hot sauce with you in person soon.
Awesome. Cheers, Dave. Have a nice evening. Thanks, everyone,
Mate.
for joining. Take care.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. See you soon.